Hi everyone, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody has had a great start to their week and is looking forward to a fantastic remainder of the weekend. Hi, Georgian, good to see our members in the class already. Hi, Tanush. And good to see many other students. Hi, Sanvi, Le Quang Yu. Good to see many students in our General English Help channel as well, Chinese Gaming. All right, everyone. In this class, we are looking at IELTS Speaking Part 1. So the speaking interview, it's 12 minutes. It has 3 parts. And part 1 is the beginning. It includes the introduction, some questions on a general topic, and we're going to get into that today. While we wait for a few more of your classmates, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com and gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of content, practice exams, lesson videos in HD, interactive tests to help you improve. This is our academic IELTS website here at aehelp.com. You can get our premium IELTS course by clicking that red button. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are an IELTS test registration center and certified agents. When you get your My Student account, you will have access to all of these goodies. Computer-based practice tests, online course, a mobile app, of course, workbooks, lesson videos. And for speaking, you have student partner speaking, and you have speaking interview practice options as well. The general IELTS is the same idea with the green background. Again, click that big red button. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. If you have any questions, just send me an email. Adrian at aehelp.com, and myself or one of my colleagues will get back to you in short notice. Welcome, Carolina, our moderator. Nice to have you on board. That's great. We've got lots of classes this week, everyone. You can check out the schedule on our YouTube community board, also on our Instagram. So we've got speaking right now, and then we've got reading classes for members tomorrow. We'll have listening this week, more reading, more listening. We'll have a Q&A session and more speaking. So lots of focus on listening and reading today. All right, everyone. Without further ado, we'll get into the speaking. So this is a speaking class, and it's great that many of you are interacting and communicating in the chat. Just make sure to also speak. So speak, use your words, and repeat. We just released recently a couple of videos where I am having a discussion with a very famous speech therapist. So somebody who is a doctor in speaking and being able to speak and communicate clearly. Maybe some of you saw that interview on the channel. And there is one really important point that she makes a couple of times in both parts, which is in order to speak well, speak clearly, you really have to just speak and move the muscles of your face, your mouth, your tongue, and enunciate your words, okay? So speaking is very strongly connected and related to the physiology, so your actual physical being, and that means the movement of your mouth, your tongue, your lungs, your face, your eyes, and it's very important to not be shy and to focus on the physical movement of speech, okay? So that's kind of my first tip for today, getting started, all right? Students have a lot of questions like, they'll say, I'm really nervous for my IELTS speaking interview. What should I do? Well, that's a great tip by this speech therapist, that you really have to enunciate and use the facial muscles, okay? So my first tip of the day is, while you practice during this lesson, make sure to speak. And that means move the jaw, the tongue, your lungs, okay? Breath is very important when you're speaking. In and out as you speak, okay? So move the air in your body. So move the tongue, your lungs, your face, okay? The physiology of speech is very important for fluent and clear communication. Okay, so remember that in your IELTS speaking, okay? Go in there and move your face and practice that before your exam. So really get those facial muscles moving, okay? Tanush, if you're having difficulties in writing, send me an email. I love answering questions, everyone. In these live classes, make sure to keep your questions focused on the topic, specifically what I'm talking about. And if you have questions on other topics, just send me an email, like on writing and such, okay? All right. So without further ado then, let's get into some of the questions that you will be asked. So go to your IELTS exam 1 hour before the test starts. You have to register 20 minutes before, and it's a good idea to have 40 minutes to get comfortable with the place, the location, find out where the washroom is, and talk to some other IELTS candidates in English so that you get really confident by the time you walk in for your interview, okay? And then you register, and then 20 minutes after you register, you will be called in for your interview. And you will be met by an IELTS examiner, kind of like me, especially if you're in Canada or along the west coast of US, Canada. And then the first question they will ask you is, may I see your identification? Okay, it's always the first question because they match your identification with your registration and you. So give me a nice full sentence answer. Again, start your fluency right away and articulate. So really move your mouth. It's okay to be melodramatic, okay? So it's better to be melodramatic than to be soft-spoken. So it's better to be like, yes, you may. Here is my ID that I used to register for this test. Please have a look. Okay, it's better to do that than go, yes, sure, here it is. All right, so if you're going to be one or the other, be melodramatic, okay? Don't be shy. Don't be soft-spoken, okay? Nigma John says, yes, certainly. Please give me a moment while I get it out and flip to the page with my credentials. Okay, here it is. Please take a look. Nigma John, that's great. Nice fluency. Shahid says, yes, sure. Here's my national ID that I used last month for exam registration. Please have a look. Very nice, Shahid. Okay, nice fluent. So again, lots of ways to answer this. VG says, yes, of course. Here it is, the one that I used for registration a couple of weeks ago. Please allow me a sec to flip to the page with my credentials. Yeah, because we're often flipping our passport to the page with credentials. Jaineel says, yes, of course. This is my national ID that I have used to register for this exam a couple of weeks back. Yep, please have a look. Very nice, Jaineel. Amu says, yes, give me a moment, please. Here's my passport, which I had used for registration for this exam. Very good, Amu. Yeah. Yashu says, yes, of course. Here's my passport that I used for registration. Please have a look. And I like that use of present perfect that Jaineel threw in there. Why not show that you have grammar range right away. Okay, so yes, by all means. Here is my passport that I've used for registration. Please take a look. Okay, and so again, repeat after me. May I see your identification? Yes, by all means. Here's my passport that I've used for registration. Please take a look. This is a good one because you have natural language and expression right away, by all means, okay? By all means is like sure or certainly. And then here you have the I have used, so you're using the present perfect. And make sure to put a really nice strong stress on that, okay? So stress that present perfect. So don't be like, I've used. So it's like, oh, did you just use present perfect? No, really emphasize it. So yes, by all means, here's my passport that I've used for registration. Please take a look. What I would do to make sure that the examiner catches my present perfect right away is just do a 1/4 second stop. Okay, so if you're contracting I have to I've, then really stress that V, okay? And take even a little short, like snap of a break right after that VE before used to emphasize it. So yes, by all means, here's my passport that I've used for registration. Please take a look. And it's still natural as long as you carry that intonation into the rest of the sentence. Okay, so that's one way. It's kind of a trick so that the examiner goes, oh, that's great. This student's using present perfect. How super. Okay. All right. Muhammad, you have to. So Muhammad is asking, what if I don't have a passport? Muhammad, you have to have the same ID for the examiner that you used for your test registration. If you don't have it, then you won't be able to sit the exam. So students, make sure that you have a valid passport and you don't have to renew the passport between your registration and your actual exam date. Okay? All right? So careful with that. All right? I have seen it a couple times where students register with their passport, then they realize their passport is expiring, they send it away, and they don't have it for their IELTS exam. That's a big problem. So make sure you don't have that situation. Okay? So have a valid passport. Make sure it's not expiring right before your test. That's bad. Okay, so while the examiner has your passport, they're going to ask you another question. They will ask you, what is your full name? So they want to know who you are. They want to match it with the information in your passport. And they're going to look at you carefully. Don't be freaked out by that. They're going to be like, are you really you? So don't be weirded out by that. That's totally normal. Again, answer in a full sentence. So Alexander says, my full name is Alexander Johnson, but please call me Alex. Yeah, and Alexander, you can even say, just call me Alex for short, okay? United Kerala says, my given names are as in my passport, Mohammed Ansar. And my surname is Cholayil. If you don't mind, please call me Ansar. I'm comfortable with that. Okay. Ansar is not short for Ansar, Mohammed. So don't say for short. Okay. For short is when it's just a short version of your name. Okay. Nigma John says, my given name is Nuruddin and my family name is Irisbayev. As you can also see in my passport, please just call me by my nickname Nurik. It's quick and easy and I'm used to it. I like it. That's great. Arda says, my given name is Arda and my surname is Gurbaz. Please just call me Arda. That works. Yeah, so you don't have to speak long, but you do have to be fluent. Okay, you want to be fluent. Mrs. Carjo says, my given names are Josny and Hanna. My family name is George. Please call me as Joshny. That's what I'm most comfortable with. Yeah, that works, okay? The examiner's question is often, what should I call you? Okay, if you don't answer that question. So include that answer, okay? My first name is Iris, and my middle name is, well, let's give a middle name here is Jenny, and my family name is, well, let's go with Johansson. Please refer to me by my middle name, Jenny. This is what I go by these days. Okay. So I'm always trying to give you a little bit of a unique twist. So here's another one if you've got 3 names. Again, repeat after me and remember that nice articulation. So move the muscles of your face and mouth. What is your full name? My first name is Iris and my middle name is Jenny. My family name is Johansson. Please refer to me by my middle name, Jenny. This is what I go by these days. Okay, Jenny. All right, so whatever works for you. All right. And then the examiner will say, okay, now I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. Do you work or study? Very common question, okay? So make sure that you practice this. Do you work or study, okay? Abdul Salam, don't go off topic. So don't start talking about where you live if they don't ask you that, okay? Yogesh says, my full name is Yogesh Sharma. However, I do not make use of my surname on my documents like my passport. So you'll only see Yogesh. Yogesh, for the previous one, that works. And if you don't have your surname in your passport, it's still okay to mention it like that. And it's good to explain it, Yogesh, saying that, however, you won't see my surname in some of my official documents, okay? Arda says, for this question, I have been studying maths and science at Kartal Anatolian High School for the past 3 years. And since 2020, I have been burying myself in the IELTS test so that I can continue my education abroad. Arda, nice. Instead of saying school, paraphrase. So school, education, studies. Okay, right away get into that paraphrasing of main ideas. Okay. All right. Space Odd Job says, I'm currently working for a family-owned business which specializes in garden and pottery products. My primary tasks are design and consultancy of our annual merchandise. Okay, so instead of items, Space Odd Jobs, I would say annual merchandise. Okay. Aman Vilay says, currently I'm a student. I have passed senior secondary education and now I'm planning to go abroad for higher education. Very nice, Aman. Okay, good. Medina, yeah, go for it. Answer the question. Absolutely. All right. Eric says, well, I'm a lecturer presently in Indonesia, and I have a plan to complete my PhD to improve my knowledge in the Netherlands. Okay, Eric, what do you plan to do your PhD in? Okay, and don't say PhD degree because the D in PhD refers to the fact that it's a degree, okay? So you don't need to say PhD degree. It's understood. It's we usually omit degree when we say PhD, okay? All right. Let's see. Quinn says, well, currently I'm a fresher at BK University. My major is computer science, and I have to work part-time to earn some more money for my studies. As well, I burn the midnight oil to make sure that I do well on my exams. Quinn, I changed the N there as well as my study because that was a bit awkward. Okay, so careful with that. All right. Let's see. Amrit, I neither work nor study because I've just passed BCA and now I've been looking to study abroad. All right. So do you work or study? I've been both working and studying these past few years. I'm a cashier at my local grocery store, and I've been working hard or studying hard or learning to become a registered nurse. Of course, I'm also hitting the books so that I can get a good band score on this IELTS exam. All right, wanted to throw in another nice natural expression, idiomatic expression for you so that you can use that in the future. IELTS speaking, you're marked on coherence, on fluency, grammatical range and accuracy, pronunciation, lexical resource, or your vocabulary. Now, within that, you're marked on the complexity of your language, the coherence, so how clearly you answer the questions, and how natural you are, okay? So that's the communication component of it. So you want to use some simple kind of idioms, nothing too fancy, like hitting the books means studying hard or learning a lot. All right, and again, notice the present perfect progressive in this case. All right, so repeat after me. Do you work or study? I've been both working and studying these past few years. I'm a cashier at my local grocery store, and I've been learning to become a registered nurse. Of course, I'm also hitting the books so that I can get a good band score on this IELTS exam. All right, so next question. What do you do at the weekends? It's kind of like, what do you do in your free time, or do you have any hobbies? It's a very, very common question. Okay. So again, give me a nice full sentence answer. You're always striving to give full sentence answers, clear, coherent, complete full sentence answers. It's very, very important. Tien says, I spent my weekend for my friend gathering and chatting with each other, and also socializing with them. Last weekend, we met at a coffee shop for about an hour. Okay, Tien, you've got some grammatical mistakes in there, so you're going to have to correct that. Okay. Vicky Yogesh, go ahead, answer this question. I'm also looking at the General English Help chat. Don't worry, I see it there also. So I'm going to be switching back and forth here. Ayel says, I'm from Ethiopia. I'm a lecturer at a public university, and now I plan to move abroad, like to the US, UK, Canada, or Germany to study my PhD. Is it really mandatory to take IELTS? Ayel, yes, it is. IELTS is the International English Language Testing System. It's a benchmark for universities, professors, employers to make sure that you can complete your studies and that you can understand the culture and the people around you. So IELTS is very, very important. Yes. Okay. Students, what do you do at the weekends is a general question. It means like regularly each weekend, not last weekend, not this weekend, not next weekend, but generally speaking. So you need to use the present simple or the present perfect tense. I see some students answering like last weekend or this weekend. That would be a mistake, okay? Akshay says, well, on Saturdays, I like to spend my free time with my friends. Generally, we visit a park in my near vicinity and chat with each other. On Sundays, I like to be with my immediate family, listen to their triumphs and tribulations, and make some plans to have fun. Okay, Akshay, you have a few mistakes in there. Don't say, I would like to spend my free time. It's awkward, okay? Honey Patel says, on the weekend, I do lots of activities like listening to music, watching adventure films with my family. Apart from that, I also help my mother with household chores. Just last Saturday, we vacuumed, washed the windows, and did laundry. Okay, honey, throw an example in there. When you say chores, that's great. Name a couple of chores that you did on the weekend with your mom so that I can give you more band scores, okay? Yogesh says, I like to spend my time with my family on the weekends. We often go out to enjoy our time, like dining at a good restaurant, and sometimes we'll watch a movie together. Last weekend, we watched that extreme series called Squid Game that everybody's talking about. Okay, so Yogesh, again, very good. Just throw in that smooth example. So, students, here's my answer. Well, on Saturdays, I like to be physically active. So I either go to the pool with my family for a swim or go out for a hike. However, on Sundays, I like to have a bit of downtime and just relax. So I usually watch a flick and read a book. Just last week, I started to read The Hobbit, which is a fantasy novel. Okay. So the tip here is include examples. Very important, okay? And include them smoothly. Like, don't say, for example. Just say the example. Okay. That's really nice and natural, and it will help you to get a better band score, okay? So again, repeat after me. What do you do at the weekends? Well, on Saturdays, I like to be physically active. So I either go to the pool with my family for a swim or go out for a hike. However, on Sundays, I like to have a bit of downtime and just relax. So I usually watch a flick and read a book. Just last week, I started to read The Hobbit, which is a fantasy novel. Okay. All right. So notice the either or. That's a correlative conjunction. Correlative conjunctions are paired conjunctions. Neither nor, whether or, not only but also, both and. Use those. Those make your speech more fluent and they sound great. They're definitely going to help you bump up your score. Okay. And again, notice that that nice natural example at the end. Just last week, I started to read The Hobbit. Okay. Whatever comes to mind, right? So again, when you're seeing new words like here, downtime means time to relax. Okay. Make sure you make a note of that in your vocabulary book. So downtime. Okay. All right. Okay, students, so you're picking up lots of tips, and of course, the key here is practice. So when you're picking up these tips, make sure to practice these in your speaking, okay? Really enunciate. Now the examiner will introduce the general kind of topic of the part one in the interview. So they'll say something like, let's talk about transportation. Transportation. So using technology and tools and vehicles to go from A to B, visualize it, see yourself riding a bike, riding the bus, riding the train, driving a car, riding a motorbike. I don't know, maybe even riding a horse. All right, so let's talk about transportation. First question, do you know how to drive a car? Say yes or no question. Make sure that you expand. Don't just say, yes, I do. No, I don't. All right, so go into details. Do you know how to drive a car? Janiel says, well, currently I don't know how to drive a car, but now I'm planning to take lessons. Now I'm planning to take driving lessons. And luckily, there's a driving school near my home because this will help me to be more efficient picking up groceries, getting to work and school. Okay. Also, I might get a job as a pizza delivery man in Canada where I'm planning to go for further education. All right. Dulcie says, yes, I do pretty well. I've already taken my license a few months back and I'm ready. I'm really into cars. I have a comfortable vehicle and my dad always lets me drive when we jet out somewhere. Okay, Toolsy, good. Some awkward use of language, so I made some real-time corrections there. Pay attention to that, okay? Honey Patel says, to be honest, I didn't know anything about driving a car, so I'm not fond of operating a vehicle. It's a difficult task for me to learn. Last Sunday, my dad helped me a bit, so I have the basics. Okay, Honey Patel, again, I made some corrections there in real time. Medina says, I don't know how to drive a car because I'm a teenager. Maybe is what you're saying, Medina. I'm not sure what the rules are in your country, but guess what? In Canada, each province has its own rules for driving. And in British Columbia, where I live, you can get your driver's license as early as 16. Of course, in Canada, we have huge distances. So it's important for even young adults or teenagers to be able to drive so that they can get to school, soccer practice, and so on, because just the great big distances. In some of the prairie provinces, you see people driving as early as like 12 years old, even though they don't have a license, just because they live on a farm and they have to go so far. All right. VG says, yes, I know how to drive a car, but these days I'm not using my car much, so I've kind of lost my skill. However, soon I'll refresh my driving skills because I will need to get back to commuting to work. Okay. All right. Do you know how to drive a car? Yes, I do. Now, when you have a question like this, answer very directly. Yes, I do. No, I don't. I've had my license for over a decade, and I've been driving or commuting to and from work with my little Honda hatchback for the past 6 years. All right, we'll stop there. So here we go. Again, don't overspeak. So as long as you've answered, you've given an explanation, maybe an example, then just stop, okay? You don't have to speak long. You just have to speak clear and complete, okay? Eric, welcome to our group of members. Eric, send me an email so I can hook you up with those perks, those videos and exams, okay? All right, so here we go. Do you know how to drive a car? Yes, I do. I've had my license for over a decade, and I've been commuting to and from work with my little Honda hatchback for the past 6 years. Okay, again, use your vocabulary, use your grammar. You need to do that for the Band 9. I've been commuting, showing that present perfect progressive. I've had present perfect, directly answering the question. Commute. To commute means regular travel. Okay, so we usually commute to school, to work. All right, some more vocabulary. Honda hatchback. Here, I really wanted to get that hatchback. Hatchback is the type of vehicle where it's, whoa, it's like this. Okay, so when it's got this kind of round back part, they're little cars, okay, then usually you have this kind of rounded, so it doesn't have this part here. It's called a hatchback, okay? It's because the back of the car is a hatch. So it's a hatchback vehicle, okay? This is the front of the car here. And this is the back of the car here. That's a hatchback. So using that kind of specific vocabulary, that's where you really pick up those points for lexical resource. That's where the examiner's like, oh, okay, this person obviously has a wide range of vocabulary because they can express hatchback, okay? If it's got the trunk and it's a full-sized car, then it's a sedan, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, next question. How often do you ride the bus? All right, IELTS Task 1, they love asking these questions of frequency, okay? So adverbs of frequency like always, sometimes, rarely, never. All right. So how often do you ride the bus? And new in hatchback, right? It's the car that I explained there. Okay. All right. So when you're thinking about adverbs of frequency, like always, often, sometimes, rarely, never, always explain it with numbers as well. So always, every day, to and from school for 30 minutes, okay? Often, 3-4 times a week, whenever I have to go visit my parents or my grandparents, okay? Seldom, once every 2 months, okay? So include that quantitative, that numbered measure, okay? Janiel says, well, as I can't drive a car, I'm often using public transportation like the bus to and from work. I probably ride the bus 10 to 12 times each week. In fact, today I used the BRTS bus to get to this exam center. Janiel, mostly correct. A couple of slight grammatical mistakes there. Aman Villay says, usually I don't ride the bus because I don't have much knowledge about how to drive it. Aman, it's not driving the bus, it's riding the bus. If you don't have much knowledge about the bus system or the bus routes in your city, then you need to say, I don't know much about the bus system in my city, so I prefer to avoid it, okay? All right, Arta says, I never commute by bus because of COVID. I really don't want to get into crowded situations. And also, I have my own car, or my family has a car, so my dad picks me up from school every day. It's more comfortable than the bus. Okay, Arda, good. That's good. Yeah, nice explanation. Sonal Kapoor says, well, I rarely use the bus as a way to commute, although I've been quite quite a bus traveler during my school days back until 2015. Okay, yeah, Sonal, not bad. Just remember that if the event has finished and you no longer ride the bus, then you have to use past perfect. I had been a regular commuter on the bus until 2015, at which time I graduated university and got my own car. Okay, so past perfect, right? Right, this question is not asking if you drive the bus, it's if you ride the bus. The bus has a bus driver, okay? I seldom take the city bus anywhere because, as I just mentioned, I've been driving my own car for some years now. I would say that I've taken the bus about once or twice in the last 5 years. The most recent was when my car was in for service and I needed to get to work on a rainy day. Okay, so here we go. Again, repeat after me. So nice and fluent, okay? Visualize it, students. I'm just making this up as I go along, and it's absolutely good to practice that, all right? So it's raining, my car's in the shop, getting some tires changed or rotated, and I need to get to work, so I hop on the city bus and take it to work, but it's seldom that I do that. Okay, visual communication. Here we go from the top. So how often do you ride the bus? I seldom take the city bus anywhere because, as I mentioned, I've been driving my own car for some years now. I would say that I've taken the bus about once or twice in the last 5 years. The most recent was when my car was in for servicing and I needed to get to work on a rainy day. Okay, so answer, explain, example. Next question. Which is your favorite type of transportation? Why? Okay, they might not ask you why. They might only ask you the why if they don't hear you explain the reason. So if you say, oh, I just love trains, and then you stop talking, the examiner will say, okay, why? Why do you love trains, or why do you love planes? So include the reason, okay? Always include the reason for your answer. VG says, that's an interesting question. Cars are my favorite type of transport as I can start and stop and go anywhere I like to. Besides that, I enjoy my music while I drive my car. Okay, Vigi, good. I made it a little bit more natural, so pay attention to that. 43 minutes, 44 minutes in the video. You can check back. Janelle says, well, the railway is my favorite mode of traveling from one place to another because it's safe and cheap. Last time when I visited Mumbai for my medical test, I went by train for a 5-hour journey. Yeah, Janelle, good. Rail is okay. You actually enjoy the train, right? So the train that travels on the rail or by railway. Tanush says, my favorite type of transportation is air transport because it helps me a lot if I need to go somewhere outside the country. Airplanes especially because they are the fastest mode of transportation. Yeah, so Tanush, I would just say my favorite type of transportation are planes, okay? I wouldn't say air transport, because there you have helicopters, hot air balloons, hang gliders. Okay, so you've got lots of types of air transport. So just say planes, because they're quick and I can go long distances and visit magical places far away. Last year I took a 5-hour plane ride to visit beautiful Florida. Okay, so be specific. Binod says, well, I suppose that public transportation is the best for me because it's convenient and cheap. Not only is the bus regarded as one of the more safe types of transports for all people, but also as one of the most efficient. Binod, yeah, what is your favorite type? It doesn't mean public transportation. It means the actual transportation type, like the bus, for example. Okay. All right. Maria Johanna says, my favorite type of transportation is a car because I feel comfortable and safe. Moreover, I don't get wet when it's raining outside. Okay, good. I like it. Yeah, sure. Why not, right? We stay dry and warm, safe from the elements. It's called safe from the elements. All right. So, if I had to choose, I would say that my favorite way to commute is on a bike. And I mean a pedal bike, not a motorbike. The reason for this is I can not only get to many places quickly in my city via the bike paths, but I also improve my health while protecting the environment, and I'm not dependent on any kind of fuel other than my physical strength. In fact, I bike to work every chance I get. All right, there's a little bit of a different one. Why not? Bikes are great. In fact, the city of Victoria, where I live, the city has invested millions and millions of dollars on all of these amazing bike paths. So in Victoria, it's sometimes faster to bike to some place than to drive, not to mention you don't have to pay for parking and such, as parking is becoming very expensive. Okay, so here we go. Repeat after me. Which is your favorite type of transportation? If I had to choose, I would say that my favorite way to commute is on bike, and I mean a pedal bike, not a motorbike. The reason for this is that I can not only get to many places quickly in my city via bike paths, but I also improve my health while protecting the environment, and I'm not dependent on any kind of fuel other than my physical strength. In fact, I bike to work every chance I get. Yeah, and I recommend doing the same. So bike, bike, bike. Why not? Right? Get out there, get healthy. All right, let's jump to this last question since we're on the topic of bikes. Okay. When you ride a bicycle, what should you do to stay safe? And I think more and more people are riding bicycles these days, so it's a good question to end with. When you ride a bicycle, what should you do to stay safe? Okay. Yeah, Sakar, absolutely you can learn to speak the same way as how I speak. I wasn't born speaking this way. I learned it as well, just like many of you are learning right now. Okay. So just follow the tips in the videos, copy my communication, and you'll get there. Absolutely. Okay, so here we go. Answer this question. When you ride a bike, what should you do to stay safe? It's a conditional. reflect the condition. Okay, so Kien, don't just say wear a helmet, but use the condition. If a person is riding a bicycle, they should always wear a helmet to protect them from head injury. Okay. Yeah. What else? Anything else that people should do when riding a bicycle? Vijay says, well, wearing a helmet is the first and foremost in order to protect the head from injury. Yeah, sure. Space Oddjob says, I would always wear a helmet as well as sticking to the right lane and making sure that I look both ways before I turn. I never share the road with heavy forms of transport such as semi-trucks. Yeah, very good. Okay. Amanpreet says, I think drivers need to wear a helmet. Not drivers, Amanpreet, but riders. I think riders need to wear a helmet. Also, they should follow the protocols while riding a bike. Every time I go on a bicycle, I always wear a helmet to protect myself. Vinay says, as more and more people are using bicycle these days for their daily activities, they should wear a helmet. They should use bicycle paths and follow traffic rules. Yeah, that's a very good one, okay? So if a person is riding a bike, they should always wear a helmet to protect them from head injury. As well, they should follow the rules of the road. Make sure to signal other drivers when they turn or stop. And finally, if people ride their bikes during darker hours of the day, they should make sure to have a reflective gear and lights so that other vehicles can clearly see them. All right. Very true. Actually, just yesterday I was driving my car home and there was a young gentleman riding his bike in the dark on the road, and luckily I saw him, but I was thinking to myself, oh boy, this person's going to get into trouble eventually. They were wearing darker clothes as well. They just looked like an invisible ghost in the night. So you got to be careful, everyone. All right, here we go. So repeat after me. When you ride a bicycle, what should you do to stay safe? If a person is riding a bike, they should always wear a helmet to protect themselves from head injury. As well, they should follow the rules of the road. Make sure to signal other drivers when they turn or stop. And finally, if people ride their bikes during darker hours of the day, they should make sure to have reflective gear and lights so that other vehicles can clearly see them. And I'll leave you with those wisdoms for life as well as English vocabulary for the day. Tomorrow, I will be back at the same time with listening part 1 and 2 coming out of our exams that you can find on our websites. And we'll also have a reading session for members at an earlier time. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating this class. Thank you, members, for your support. And thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you've learned lots. Be sure to practice your speaking. Remember, clear, strong pronunciation. Visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gltshelp.com for general IELTS. We've got lots and lots of great content for you. The websites look like this. Big red button. Join that premium package. You won't regret it. We help thousands of students daily to improve their communication and their English for the exam. That's it for me for now, ladies and gentlemen. But I will be back tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day and much love to all of you wherever you are in this beautiful world. Bye for now.